Good morning and welcome. I welcome you to Play and Learn with myself, Dr. Susan, and it's nice to have you here today. And we are going to kind of look at a different kind of way that we see who we are and how we do things for ourselves and how it makes a difference in someone else's life. So my first question is I wanted to ask you, did you know that you had a bucket with you all the time? And so does everybody. This is a very interesting concept and an interesting idea. Well, I found a great book, and the book title is Have You Filled a Bucket Today? And it's very fascinating and it's fun. So we're going to take a look at that today, and then we'll have a little bit of we'll talk about how that happens for all of us as I created a special craft that goes along with the story that I think you might have fun doing. If you don't have the supplies now, that's not a problem. You can always pick the video up later and take a look at it and make it how I did it. Or as always, you have your own opportunity to be as creative as you want to be in creating something that goes along with the story. So that's totally up to you. Maybe you can do it with mom and dad. All right? So let's go ahead and get started with the story, and then we'll see how that leads into what we're going to do this morning. All right, let's get ready. Okay. So our story today is Have You Filled a Bucket Today? And it's a guide for daily happiness for kids. It's by Carol McLeod. And it's illustrated by David Messing. And isn't that a cool little story thing we have? Then there's a bucket full of hearts. So let's see what that looks like. So here we go. All day long, everyone in the whole wide world walks around carrying an invisible bucket. So I told you, everybody has one. You just can't see it. You can't see it, but it's there. That is a very cool bucket. You have a bucket. Each member of your family has a bucket. Even your pets. See the pet down there, the little dog? He has a bucket too. Your grandparents, friends, and neighbors all have buckets. Everyone carries an invisible bucket. Your bucket has one purpose only. Its purpose is to hold your good thoughts and good feelings about yourself. You feel happy and good when your bucket is full. And you feel sad and lonely when your bucket is empty. Other people feel the same way too. They're happy when their bucket is full, and they're sad when their bucket is empty. And sometimes we don't even recognize when that's happening. It's great to have a full bucket, and this is how it works. Other people can fill your bucket, and you can fill theirs. You can fill your own bucket too. So, how do you fill a bucket? You fill a bucket when you show love to someone, when you say or do something kind, or even when you give someone a smile. That's being a bucket filler. A bucket filler is a loving, caring person who says and does nice things to make others feel special. And when you treat others with kindness and respect, you fill their bucket. See all those sparkly hearts and stars? But you can also dip into a bucket and take out some good feelings. You dip into a bucket when you make fun of someone, when you say or do mean things, or even when you ignore someone. That's called bucket dipping. Bullying is bucket dipping. When you hurt others, you dip into their bucket. You will dip into your own bucket too. Many people who dip have an empty bucket. They may think they can fill their own bucket, but by dipping into someone else's, but that never will work. You fill your own bucket when you you never fill your own bucket when you dip into someone else's. But guess what? When you fill someone's bucket, you fill your own bucket too. You feel good when you help others feel good. All day long, We are either filling or dipping into each other's buckets by what we say and what we do. Remember, we have to be conscious about what we say and what we do. Try to fill a bucket and see what happens. Love your mom and dad? Why not tell them you love them? You can even tell them why. Your caring words will fill their buckets with joy. Watch for smiles to light up their faces. You feel them smiling too. A smile is a good clue that you have filled a bucket. If you practice, you'll become a great bucket filler. Just remember that everyone carries an invisible bucket, and think of what you can say or do to fill it. Here are some ideas for you. You could smile and say hi to the bus driver. He has a bucket too, so his is sitting on the floor next to him. You can invite a new kid at school to play with you. You can write a thank you note to your teacher. You can tell your grandpa that you like spending time with him. There are many ways to fill a bucket. Bucket filling is fun and easy to do. It doesn't matter how young or old you are. It doesn't cost any money, and it doesn't take much time. And remember, when you fill someone's bucket, you fill your own bucket too. When you're a bucket filler, you make your home, your school, your neighborhood better places for all. Bucket filling makes everyone feel good. So why not decide to be a bucket filler today and every day? Just start each day by saying to yourself, I'm going to do something to fill someone's bucket today. And at the end of each day, ask yourself, did I fill a bucket today? Yes, I did. That's the life of a bucket filler. And that's you. The end. And as you see at the bottom, I'm going to talk a little bit about their website. Carol McLeod has a website, and it's called bucketfillers101.com. You can see it at the bottom. Mom and Dad can look that website up for you, and they have all kinds of fun activities that you can do. There's pictures to color, there's word searches, there's even a puzzle online that you can put together while you're on the website. And there's all kinds of fun activities that you can do with this. So be sure to look that up since you've heard the story, and I'll show you one of the things that she has created. So look at the website. I don't want to stand in front of the screen so you can't see it. But there's the website. Write it down or have Mom do it so that you have an opportunity to look up and see the fun activities that she has developed that goes along with the story. And one of the activities we're going to do is one that she has on her website. So let's get started on doing that. All right. So here's what we're going to do. It's a pretty easy story, has lots to tell us, and one of the big things that we have to remember when we relate to this story is we have to concentrate and think and be aware of how we do things, how we say things. And some of the ways that you can fill your bucket, I know she didn't talk about it in the story, but I was thinking about it, and like several ways that you can do that is that you can, when you get up in the morning, you can make your bed, and you always feel so much better because it's neat and tidy and your room is straightened up. That's one way to fill your bucket. And you know what? Because you do that, you filled Mom's too, because she doesn't have to make your bed or pick up your stuff. So there's another great way to fill your bucket and to fill Mom's too. And it never gets so full that things won't go in it. The thoughts and the actions and the activities that we do, it's like bottomless. You know, it just fills and fills and fills and fills, and it never spills out and lands on the ground. It stays inside the bucket. So that's one of the ways. And sometimes some of the other ways that might feel like you've dipped into your own bucket and not necessarily dipped into someone else's, is maybe at the time when you were supposed to remember to do something, either for mom or dad, or you were supposed to bring something to school, you forgot to do it. Sometimes that makes you feel bad inside and go, oh, look what I did. You're taking those good, happy thoughts out of your bucket. So the thing to remember is that's an opportunity to say, wow, I just need to pay attention. So this gives you other times and other ways in which you can fill your bucket, and you can fill your teachers because you've brought your homework in and you've done all the activities that they've asked you to do. And again, does the same thing. Fills the teacher's bucket and it fills yours at the same time. So that's amazing, isn't it? You ever think about that? That because the teacher gave you homework and you took it home and you did it, you also learned something from it, which is one of the important things we want to do with life. And then you took it back to school so that your teacher could see that. And you know what that does? Because I'm a teacher, and ways in which when I work with boys and girls, when we work with an activity and we do something and they enjoy it and they have a really good time and they learn something, that makes me feel really good. And it fills my bucket because it's like, yes, this is fun. We're having a good time and we're learning something together. Not just, I'm teaching you something. Students always teach their teachers something. That's one of the things to remember, but that's, again, filling your bucket with what you learned and filling the teacher's bucket with what she was able to share with you. So there's another way. So let's go into what we're going to be doing today. We are going to be making a bucket. That seems practical, right? So we're going to make a bucket, and I've cut out my pattern already. And on Carol McLeod's website, she has a pattern or directions on how to make buckets out of folding paper, but I didn't get that accomplished. So I just had one of my own that I decided to use today. So this is the bucket itself. It's just curved, okay? And then I found this fun paper that looks like wood, so it looks like a wood bucket. So there's the bottom, and I made two handles. The handles that can either go on the side or across the top. So that's what we did. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to use the glue, just right here, and we're going to put that on this side, and be generous with your glue because you want it to stick. We're going to put some tape over it just to be sure that it's going to stay for this morning because it may take a little while to dry. So we're going to put that. And then while I'm working on this, have you thought about different ways in which, now that you know a little bit about what a bucket filler is, of ways in which you can do that? The activities that maybe you can do, or as she said in the book, that you can write thank you notes, or even just a letter to say, hi, how are you? Okay, we've got glue on one side. We're going to fold it over and hold it down. This paper's thick, so it doesn't like to stick right away. So in order to assist it along a little bit, we're going to, see, it doesn't like to stick right away. We're going to take little pieces of tape and tape that down so it has something to adhere to while we're working on the rest of it. So we're going to just tuck it under there on that side. We're going to do the same thing on this side while it gets a chance to dry. You don't have to take the tape off if you don't want to later. That's up to you. Because then we're going to tape it right here, just like that. That's to hold the bucket. Then we're going to lay it like this, and then this is the bottom. So there's the bottom of the bucket. Okay? So same thing is, instead of putting it on the circle, we're going to put it on the edge of the bucket. Reason I'm doing that is because I have to trim this down a little bit. I made it a little bit wider so that it doesn't fall through the hole that we have here. So you're just going to take the glue and put it on here and go just like that. You know, one of the things after I read this story, I got to thinking about my grandsons that live at my house and thinking of the ways in which they fill my bucket with their enthusiasm and their fun when we're creating or doing something together, or even just sitting and watching one of the shows they like to watch. And, you know, probably cartoons aren't parents' most favorite fun thing to do, but we always like to give each other the opportunity of doing things together. So that's one of the ways that you can fill their, moms and dads help fill your bucket while they fill their own because they get to spend time with you. Okay, so now I'm going to take the bottom and put it there, and I'm going to leave this just sit for a few minutes, and we'll go on to some other parts here while we're waiting for it to dry. Okay, so there's the bottom. So I'm just going to sit it just like that for a few minutes and let it dry. So that's just going to sit right there. I think you can see that, can't you? There we go. And if the paper that you're working with doesn't want to stick, you can always use a little bit of tape. Tape's an amazing thing, you know. I'm sure happy whoever created that, I can fill their bucket with gratitude, and because it certainly helps with a lot of things that I'm doing. When I don't have a lot of time for things to dry, tape is wonderful. Okay, I'm trying to see if that's the glue I see or light. Okay, all right. So we're going to let that sit. So that's the base of our bucket. Now, as you saw on the book, there's hearts. She has these hearts. So I cut a couple of them out. I had some really pretty paper, and I thought that would be kind of cool to put in there. But we're going to do something with the hearts before we do that. So, and there's some sparklies, because those buckets certainly look like they were filled with all kinds of sparkles and stuff. There's. And then I did some stars out of that. So there's some stars that I did. So we're going to cut out the stars really quick. And on her website, she also has a paper that Mom can download and print that has the templates for these stars and for the hearts if you're not good at drawing those all by yourself. So you can print that out, cut them out, and then trace onto paper. And I used thick paper because it works better. This is just regular old paper, and it's kind of thin, but it's still pretty, so I used it. But the cutting the heart out, there's another star. I think I have a couple of them. So while I was one of those that she has is like I said, the template. And then she has a real fun word search that's fun to do. And she also has another one that is, I can't remember what they call it, but instead of using letters to answer there's another star. To answer questions, it's got the blank spaces, and you have to look at the number underneath to find the letter that goes there. So there's that game. That's a fun game to play, too. See, now I'm going to do a couple more hearts and cut these out. Okay, and I'm going to have to do the hearts and cut them out. Now, other thing you have to remember about any time we work on different activities and things is that if you don't like the ideas of hearts or stars, what are your favorite shapes? Do you have special shapes that you really like? Like, well, last night was fireworks, maybe like a firecracker or something. Or maybe you'd like some other kind of shape, but just pick whatever you'd like, and if you're good at drawing your own shapes and stuff without patterns, use those too. That's so fun, and it's very creative. So now we have 6 hearts, and I have 6 stars. So now what we're going to do, and I have to grab, excuse me for moving off, move my pens over here so I don't have to stretch. So one of the things that I thought we would do before we even finished our bucket is to think about how we have filled our buckets on every day. And if you want to do this so that you have, because your bucket is invisible, remember, and it's always with you. It never goes to sleep. It never goes away. It's always there. So this is just to remind us that we're doing this all the time. So if we have a reminder, which is what the bucket is going to be for us, okay, is to, when we see it, we go, oh yeah, I want to really remember to fill my bucket today. And then think about how you can fill someone else's bucket. Because if you remember from the story, she said, when you fill someone else's bucket, you're filling yours at the same time. All right? So let's think about ways in which you can fill your bucket. I told you one of them when we first got started, by taking care of your things. And so there's a way to fill your bucket by actually taking action on it, but not just thinking about it, but take action on it. And you've filled your bucket because now things are neat and easy, and it just feels good. It's a good way to create feelings for yourself, good loving feelings for yourself. So, and then maybe as the little boy in the picture told his mom that he loved her, maybe, how about if you thought it got up a little bit earlier and maybe made breakfast for your mom and your dad? So that's an activity, and that's an action, and that's a way in which to tell them how much you appreciate them. So one of the things to remember during the day is how much you appreciate yourself and everybody else in your life. So that's another thing that you can do. So just write on the back, just reminders for yourself. So I'm going to put down here on this one, I'm going to put love myself. And by taking an action on how you love yourself is that you clean up your room, put your things away, take care of your things. And that's a way to love yourself. Okay? So we're going to put, we'll put that away in just a few seconds. And then I'm going to take the heart, or the star, with a different colored pen. And this one is, I'm going to put down here, eat well, eat healthy. That's another way that I can love myself, is by eating healthy. And the bonus about that is when Mom goes shopping and she gets all the vegetables and all those other things that aren't our very favorite, we'll eat them, but they're not our very favorite. And when she brings them home and fixes and prepares them for us by us eating them, is you're filling your bucket with health, and you're appreciating your mom for the preparation and eating it, because she took her time and effort to put that together for you. Okay, so we'll put eat healthy. Okay, so eat healthy on that star. So that's two. So I have this heart, and I have this heart. But as I said, you can get on her website and find lots of other things that you can do. So let's think about some of the things that you might be able to do. I know there's probably not a lot of times this will happen, but if you get one of those papers that come to your house once a week, here in Simi Valley we get the acorn, and bring the paper in for Dad. And maybe just do something nice for Dad. So get the newspaper and bring it in the house for him by the time before he gets home from work. That's a nice way to appreciate him. And you're also cleaning up the front yard at the same time, not leaving the newspaper sitting out there. So there's another way. So you can assist Dad. Assist Dad in whatever thing you think Dad might need some help with, and he would appreciate the help. So there's assisting Dad. So let's see, what can you do for maybe your brother or sister? If you have a brother or sister, what could you do? If you enjoy reading and you like to read and your younger sibling doesn't know how to read yet, maybe reading them a story. That would be a nice way to give them something and also feel good about yourself for taking time to spend with your sibling. Okay, so let's put that on a star. Read to, let's go sister, all right? Read to your sister. That would be a good time to spend together. But that's another way to fill her bucket, because you spent time with her and you also gave her entertainment, and you got to do something special too by giving that to her. So your bucket fills up again. Now, what was one of the things that they said that, oh, I know it was, spending time with his grandpa. She wrote that in the story. And if your grandpa's around where you're able to go see him, or he lives close to you, how could you assist your grandpa? So think about that for a few minutes. We're going to set our little hearts and stuff over here aside. Okay? Now this is just to remind us we're doing this all the time. There isn't a time when you're not doing that, okay? Always. We're always doing it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to trim this down. You could also have a big bucket thing if you want to. So I'm going to trim this down just a little bit. You just go around the edges, and it doesn't have to be all the way so you can't see the bottom of the bucket. That's okay. So you're going to trim it around like this. It's still a little bit wet. That's why we have tape. Yay for the tape. Okay. Whoops, sorry. Okay, so we have got that. Now, I did a handle. You can do, now on that, I'm trying to think on the picture, on the story, I think she did a handle that went all the way over the top. So we could do that one. We're going to use tape right now because we don't have a lot of time to for the glue to dry. So we're just going to take a piece of tape. I cut two skinny pieces. And you can also try and create the bucket that Carol did on her website, which is a fun place to find new activities and things to do. But it's a really fun website. So hopefully you have time that you can, you and Mom and Dad can take a look at it. Okay, so I'm going to take the handle. I'm just going to put it inside like this. I'm just going to put a piece of tape over it. You can glue it later so that it has more time to dry, okay? So we'll do this and tape. And you know, when I was thinking about this and looking for ways in which to make a bucket that I had in my patterns, I thought, what other ways could you make a bucket? Does it have to be a round bucket? It could be a square one. I haven't seen a triangle bucket, have you? I haven't seen a triangle bucket, so I guess maybe they don't have those. So we have our bucket, and then, so because we've written on this heart, we're assisting Dad, so we've added these wonderful little ideas in the bucket. So you can just put them in there. And this one was to love myself, so that you have lots of love to give to other people. And here's another heart. And you, of course, you don't have to make hearts and stars. You can make anything else you want to. And you just keep filling the bucket with all those things that you've done during the day that add lots of good thoughts, good feelings, not only for yourself, but for others. I'm just going to stick this here so you can see it. Here we go. And I'm going to take the star, do the same thing with the star, because then it kind of looks, the bucket looks kind of cool. And we can stick it out here like that. See, it sticks. We don't have to worry about it falling out of the bucket. Oops, drop that one. And here's another. Just fold over, I just fold over tape. And we can stick that in there too. And this is just a reminder of the ways in which we can share and we can fill our own buckets and we can fill others. It's about being conscious, being aware, and taking time to actually do the things that we talked about. In being giving and loving and sharing things, sharing who you are. These are wonderful ways in which to make that difference. So this is very similar. You'd have to put a whole lot of stuff in here to fill it up. Wouldn't that be fun to be able to do that, though? To take all that time and be able to fill all that up. So there's our bucket. And you, as I said, you can use stars and hearts or anything that you choose. It doesn't have to be a bucket. It can be a basket if you want to have a basket instead of a bucket. Lots of different ways that you can do this activity and just have it around to remind you that even though this is invisible for everybody, because we can't see the bucket that anybody's carrying, and if we can't see the bucket that they're carrying, and we see that someone is sad, would that give you an indication that maybe their bucket isn't full and they might need some loving attention or care or conversation or play or any of those things that might fill their bucket by you participating and giving of your time and and who you are. So think about being a bucket filler this coming week. See what kind of fun activities you can get into that you'd like to share with other people. Remember, when you fill someone else's bucket, you're filling your own too. So have it flowing over with love and excitement and fun and friends, and know that you're the one that makes the difference. You make the difference in your life. You make a difference in your whole family's life and the whole community that in which you live. And that can be your household, your neighborhood, your school, all of those things. Make a difference. So be a wonderful grand bucket filler and enjoy filling your own and others too. You guys have a great week, and be sure to check out Carol McLeod's website. All right? Take care, everyone, and we'll see you soon.